Hey, Katie.
Welcome to Learn Real Good.
An episode
Of a podcast.
that combines science and comedy.
Yes. Oh, it's been a while.
It's been a
while.
while.
That was rough. I don't even know if that's our official beginning.
I think it's great.
It's been, how long, Vinny, do you think, since our last recording?
I feel like it was since the last episode because we don't know what order these air in.
I know. I'm throwing that out the window. It's our new season. I said let's not commit to these timing things like a minute ago, and then here I go. I can't avoid it.
That's okay.
I can't avoid it.
I'm
It's
excited.
been about a
It's
year.
fun to start.
Yeah. I'm excited. It's a new season,
New guests.
new year, a new world. The world's changed a lot since we last recorded.
Every year, you never step into the same river twice. That's
Whoa, is that a thing?
that's
Is that a
saying.
proverb?
Yeah, it's an old saying.
Did you make it up?
I don't make up old sayings, no.
I would believe it if you said you made it up. 'Cause
I wish I did.
Although goofy, you can be quite eloquent and deep, and you're good at inventing on the spot things that sound ancient or modern.
Anciently modern, that's what they call me.
Well, this is Learn Real Good, a science comedy podcast where we shoot the breeze. Check.
Checkmate.
Checkmate. And then we are going to share some science facts. And then we're going to introduce our special guest, which I'm very excited about today.
Always excited
So
to
many
be
questions.
Our guests.
Yeah. Are we ready?
I'm ready. I'm
Are
pumped.
you ready? Science fact engaged?
I'm ready to have some engagement with science facts.
We have a year of science facts to catch up on.
I know. Well, like you said, the world has changed.
Wow. Well, why don't you tell me one way the world has changed? Science fact numero the first.
Well, my little science fact has to do with clothing.
Ooh, I wear those.
I know. I like wearing clothes. I like shopping for clothes. A lot of great things.
It's an inherently relatable topic.
Yeah. Feels universal.
Yeah.
What do you like about clothes?
Oh, man. A lot. I mean, that is my luxury, I think. Is I don't spend a lot of unnecessary money on things, except I do enjoy buying clothes. Yes, absolutely. I love the feeling of it. I'm very particular about fabric. For my skin, I like certain fabrics over others, and I like to keep up with the recent styles.
Now, why do we wear clothes?
Ooh, modesty.
Modesty, yeah, a lot of reasons to wear clothes, and as humans, we're like socialized and have an inherent kind of like, oh, I got to cover myself up. But a lot of scientists say that we probably started wearing clothes because of
protection,
climate, warm.
Ooh, climate.
And so if humanity originated in very mild climes, maybe you don't need clothing. But if you want to go to new environments, then wearing clothes is going to be really good to keep you warm and toasty. Now you can live in maybe less hospitable environments.
Even above that, I feel like, imagine we were going camping. It's summer right now where we are. It would be quite warm. Even if we were the only people, I would not be going around naked. Okay, full disclosure.
Yes.
Because, the one time I bump into a tree, I've got sensitive parts.
Yeah.
That would hurt.
Yeah, you don't want to graze things.
Not just temperature, just protecting yourself.
One of the big questions is, when did people start wearing clothes? Because at some point in our past, we didn't have clothing. We were just animals wandering around as animals do, without clothes.
Absolutely.
But then at a certain point, we did start having clothes.
Yeah.
And so it's been a huge debate in anthropological, scientific circles about when people...
Can I take a guess? An
Please
estimate?
do, yes.
1610.
Prior to 1610.
No.
Yes.
Really?
It is prior to 1610. Your guess,
1605.
1605 is correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So just that year they passed the law. Everyone had to wear clothes.
It's a law.
Until then, just random nudity.
When was it? When were people thinking?
So people had no clue. The original estimates up until some recent studies was like it could be 4,000 years ago. It could be 15,000 years ago.
Whoa.
I mean, 4,000 is probably too soon. But like,
obviously,
huge range. They had no idea. It could have been millions of years ago. It could have been tens of thousands of years ago. Well, maybe not millions.
Let's calm down, everyone.
Anyways, clothing is usually made out of natural materials, fibers.
Well, certainly then.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Now we do have synthetic materials.
Not a lot of micro suede in the medieval times.
Ooh, medieval nylon. Great. But so it decomposes, it doesn't leave any trace. And so you can only infer clothing by stuff that you find. And so they found like needles, which is like a really strong indicator of clothing.
What else would you use it for?
But that only shows up at like 30,000 years ago. And people are like, okay, is that the right number? And so one group just had an idea. Lice.
Ooh.
So head lice have existed for a very long time. That just needs dense hair.
Yeah.
And so head lice has like this long history, like for humans and other animals, of existing.
Okay.
But there's another louse that is different, is different enough, called the clothing lice.
Really?
And it can, like, head lice can't exist. Like, it dies very quickly unless it's in someone's head. The warmth, that density of hair, all of that stuff. But can't, if it tries to go down and live on your arm, it can't. There's not enough hair.
Well, I know, because like there's other regions of the human body have different lice species.
Exactly.
Okay.
But so now there is a species of lice called clothing lice, and if you have clothing on, it can exist.
Huh.
So like if you have a short sleeve shirt, the lice can exist under the shirt, but not on your arms.
Never heard of clothing lice.
Clothing lice is a real animal.
Does it still exist?
It still exists, yeah. It's a pest.
Do we have it right now?
I hope not.
I will be checking post-podcast.
It's generally not seen a lot in Western spheres. So one of the things that you can do is, if you have head lice and you have clothing lice, you can do a genetic comparison to see where they diverged.
Yeah. Oh, fascinating. Phylogeny, strike again.
Phylogenies, yeah. And so a group did that, and they took a bunch of head lice, they took a bunch of clothing lice, and ran like, the statistical analysis. And so what they found was, it's the range, obviously it's not super accurate, between 80 and 170,000 years ago, with a most likely number between 100 and 120,000 years ago. So clothing originated roughly, according to the study, 100 to 120,000 years ago.
Pre-1605.
Pre-1605 by
really
just a few years. So
I wonder if that coincides with our movement to more northern climes, or if this line of evidence could be used to deduce that, because that's a whole thing of controversy. People arguing about when humans started moving from Africa.
Yeah, and so you can do that comparison, and it is when people start leaving warmer climates, and so one of the things that allows you to do that is clothing. So it's hard to say what's the cause, what's the effect.
Cars too. Cars are really instrumental in people moving north.
Yeah. I mean, I think there were people in the north prior to cars.
What?
Yeah. Hot take. So that's
Very
my little
cool.
fact about just using the genetic differences between head lice and clothing lice.
I did not see lice being a pivotal factor in that story.
Yeah, where clothing originated for
Well, that was a
humans.
journey, Vin.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great science fact.
Pretty fun.
Yeah. Are you ready for my
I would
science
love
fact?
hit me with those facts.
I'm gonna,
facts.
I don't want to, underplay it. I'm gonna really try hard to spin a yarn like you did, Vinny.
I'm ready.
Have you ever looked inside a mouse?
Inside a mouse. It's something I avoid. I'll say that.
Have you, content warning for an anatomical content.
Okay.
Have you ever dissected a mammal, a little mammal?
A fish is not a mammal, so no.
So my only dissections of mammals occurred when I was a TA during my PhD. And this whole experience, I dissected so many things, it made me hate it. But one of the many things I had to dissect over and over as a TA, right? You had to keep doing it for all your sections, was a rat. And just mentioning dissections of rat is as gross as this conversation gets. When you would cut it open, the blood vessels were dyed red and blue. Anyway, that's the extent of what you could see inside of it, right? You had to cut it open, you had to move all that tissue, and you would see the blood vessels.
I'm gonna go back on your statement where mentioning the dissection is the worst part.
I'm done. And
all right,
disgusting
great.
Content warning. Sorry. Okay, well, that's not great. That's not great resolution.
Sure.
Right? What if I want to know what's happening inside of a tissue? Specifically, not just inside its big open organ hole. Okay, for sure done with the gross stuff. Well, science has moved past high school dissections of the 80s. Now we want to see inside of a mouse. We have specially bred mice that are translucent.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, just like those 80s phones. Remember those plastic phones where you could see all the plastic parts inside?
Yeah,
I wanted one so bad.
We didn't breed those. That's nightmarish.
Yes, we did, Vinny. You selected the phones each season that were more and more transparent, and eventually it led to the translucent phone. You don't understand biology.
I guess not.
And, but there's still challenges, right? How do you, you have to design these very expensive molecules that you can put through the translucent mouse so you can take these special x-rays and see things, and that's very cost prohibitive. You have to use special breeds of mice that are sort of vulnerable to these special molecules, which means you're only looking at a subsect of the population. It's like if you were only looking at Olympic swimmers for, muscle mass, well, it's going to be biased towards that type of person, which is not representative of everyone, is it? Right?
No.
So it was always problematic. It was very expensive. You still couldn't get to everywhere. No matter what you did, none of the tissues couldn't be pervasive because it was hard to get these special molecules into certain tissues. Well, hot new science development. So there's this new combo between the molecule you're using and the way you're making the tissue more permeable that has led to this new imaging technology that is bonkers. I'll show you these images afterwards because they are just so detailed, like 3D pictures of all the tissues of a mouse. And this new technique's called wild disco, short for Panic at the Wild Disco. No, I made that up. Made that up, but it is called wild disco. Really? Yeah. Wild because you can use a wild type mice. You don't need specially bred mice. Okay. Wild being like normie mice. Normie transparent. It still has to be transparent.
Normcore mouse. Yeah.
And the disco refers to what they're doing to the mouse after it's dead, so it's not a genetic thing, to make these molecules go through.
They make them go to a disco?
No, disco's an acronym. Oh. Okay. So first, the new marker, the thing that's traveling through to mark the tissues to make it fluorescent, is just normal antibodies, not these expensive, specially designed macro nanoparticles. So you can use a regular old antibody that's going to go everywhere, but it still has trouble getting to certain places. So the disco part, the way they make the tissue more permeable is they dissolve cholesterol. Oh. So, do you know about the role of cholesterol in a cell's membrane, Vin?
It makes things delicious.
No, I don't know that it necessarily does taste delicious. I know fat does. I don't know if cholesterol necessarily does.
I'm going to go with delicious.
Okay. So, cholesterol makes cell membranes of animals. It's not in other kingdoms. It makes them more hard.
Rigid.
Exactly. So, too much of it can be too rigid, exactly. But you need some of it because you need some amount of rigidity. Yeah. Exactly. So if you sort of melt it away, if it's in all of your cell membranes, you've created these empty pockets where the antibodies can sort of stick and it can get everywhere. So this is a whole new technology. It's much cheaper because you're using normal antibodies and normal translucent mice. And they've already found in this study that just came out in Nature talking about the technology some cool things. So a couple of the scientific nuggets they got from this study is that they found that mice who had no microbes in them, so they took some mice that they killed all the bacteria, had far less developed nervous systems in their gut than mice that did. So it suggests this new role potentially of the microbiome, the little bugs that, not bugs, oversimplified, the bacteria that live in your intestines in your nervous system development. Yet another reason why we need those little non-bugs, those bacteria.
Bacteria, famous non-bugs.
And then also they found for the mice that have tumors, they found these really cool clusters of immune cells, and they don't know what their role is. So now they're like, ooh, what are those guys,
are these guys doing?
Yeah,
having a disco.
But they have a whole website that's free to view with all these pictures.
What's it called?
Well, if you just Google wild disco, I'm sure you'll find it.
I hope so.
One word.
Yeah. Okay.
You might find some people in the 70s with bell bottoms with some finger dancing, but you also might find mice. That sucks, eh? If you're actually looking for a really interesting disco, you might find something.
You're just gonna get boring genetics.
Boring.
I mean, exciting.
First of all, not genetics. Secondly, not boring. And the pictures aren't gross because they're all like just
Great.
blue.
And so was this mostly developed for the purposes of improving dissection, the process of dissection?
No, you're not dissecting at all. You
Okay.
can leave the animal whole.
Oh,
it's dead.
Okay.
It's dead. If you're, I mean, yeah, it's dead, but you don't have to cut it
You
up.
don't have to cut it up. You just get to see what's going on.
Yeah,
there.
and you can isolate. So you can, if you use an antibody that only is attracted to muscle, right? You can basically get like a Google map
Right.
of their muscle system.
Cool.
You
So
can
kind
get
of like
the nervous system.
those museum exhibits of like people with their muscles, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
in the body.
Exactly, intact. Well, it's
Okay.
a picture.
Yeah.
It's not the actual physical specimen
That's
that you're
cool.
looking at, but it's just far more detailed. You can go much deeper than you ever could
Wow.
because of the cholesterol thing, and way cheaper because you don't need specially designed
Amazing.
fancy techie antibodies.
Well, now we know how to make transparent animals.
We already knew how to make transparent mice, but this could be applied potentially to other animals, right? To give us a much better understanding of
What
what's
about
going on inside.
People, can
Of
we
course.
walk? Can we walk around like translucent
Oh,
humans?
why would you wouldn't want that?
Well, did you like the phone?
Yes, I didn't
Well,
want
then there are going to be
to.
people who want to be like translucent
I
phones.
wanted to own the phone. I didn't want to be the phone.
And that's you.
I think I assumed like you could look inside and look like a Rube Goldberg machine, but it's just
You could watch-
plastic.
yeah.
You know, there's not things churning and
Yeah, electronic
churning.
devices and mechanical devices.
Yeah.
They're interesting.
Well, that's enough out of
That
us.
was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good science fact.
Good science fact.
Are you ready for our guest?
Yes, please.
Oh my goodness, I have the honor of introducing Rita Lam. So Rita Lam just graduated from the University of British Columbia, Okanagan with a master's degree in mechanical engineering. However, she's actually a self-proclaimed fake engineer and is a microbiologist instead. Her master's projects investigated how indoor daylight affects the indoor microbiome in a controlled lab environment and an inpatient hospital. She loves wine tasting. She's a WSETI certified sommelier, enjoys outdoor activities and traveling. Please join me in welcoming Rita Lam to the podcast. Rita Lam, come on down.
Hey, Rita.
Hi, Vinny. Hi, Katie.
Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here as well. Very fun facts, science facts.
Kind of connected with the microbiome talk there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you heard of Wild Panic at the Disco mice?
Not really. I heard about wild, like Panic at the Disco, but not wild one. Where's the mice?
Well, this is very exciting. So you have a degree in engineering, but you really are more of a microbiologist in terms of the work you do. What's happening there? Why mechanical engineering?
Yeah, why are you a fake engineer?
That's why we brought you here to interrogate you.
Well, actually, engineers are more cool. I'm just kidding. It's very long stories because I graduated right around COVID time, and I was looking for supervisors right after I finished my undergrad. So, and I met this professor's, her name is Dr. Septe Parkpour, and she is actually kind of like who I am right now, actually is walking in between biology and engineering as well. Well, she's a microbiologist, but she is a professor in Faculty of Engineering, which explains why. But all her projects are like collaborations between microbiologists and engineers. And I call myself a fake engineer because my diploma says engineering, but I am not engineers because all my projects during are like literally dealing with tiny little microbes, not just bugs, but microbes at all. Yeah. Yeah, so that's long story short, but I'm very happy. I love my microbes.
Nice. We will cease calling them bugs for your benefit. So you're looking at how daylight and light affects microbes, and you saw how like the effect of completely covering your window, like lowering the blinds like so many of us do, versus having the big glary windows or using special tech. Maybe we can start by talking about why is it that when, and I got really concerned about this from your talk because I definitely am guilty of keeping the blinds closed permanently in our room. Why is it that keeping the window blinds up leads to more microbes or more bad ones? Could you want to talk about that relationship a bit?
Yeah, so very good question. So basically, I'm glad actually you got the concept right, comparing when the blinds are installed and when the blinds are up. So basically, when you have the blinds down, you block majority of the lights coming into the buildings. But when you have this kind of windows and let the lights transmit into your rooms, you like, well, here's a point that we actually have clarify what exactly is indoor daylight because indoor lightings are majority of the lights when transmit through the windows are was in the visible light spectrums.
Mm.
And what we know is that when compared to outdoor sunlight, which most people know, they contain UVs, and which is
Hmm.
why you apply sunscreens so you
Mm-hmm.
don't get the sunburns. But like when like most of the windows, they block the UVs
Hmm.
when they actually when the light transmits through the glass. But within this light visible light spectrums near the UV or violet blue light spectrum around the 400 nanometers, they're very high in energies. So this is the part of light that are known to be antimicrobials. And in
Hmm.
fact, so like human has been using like blue light to actually kill treat microbacterium tuberculosis or burn infections for more than 100 years.
Hmm.
So we've been using that for a long time, especially in the medical field and even like so we know that happens. And yeah, I think that's in a simple way why it actually kills bacteria in that way. Not just the bad one, but bacteria in the whole.
So
Yeah.
that's really cool. So the windows generally block the UV stuff that causes sunburn, but some of the higher energy blue close to UV stuff is getting through the windows, and that's the light that's like knocking out all these microbes.
Yes, that's very true. And then that's actually point out a very good point. It's like different windows actually transmit light at
Mm.
different properties and different degrees as well. For example, some of earlier, like before we have these all fancy glazing technologies, these people have less awareness of like photo protections indoors. For example, like when you drive your car, if you I don't know if you guys notice or not, your front windows will block the UV. But on the
Oh.
not on the passenger seat, but like the seat behind, they won't block the UVs.
Huh.
So this is something, yeah, it's very interesting. I just knew that when wrote my thesis, I have to look through all the window stuff as well. And yeah, but the people start to actually know more to, hey, you spend a lot of times like inside of cars. Now we will have to actually have UV protections for the occupants as well. So different glasses have different
Hmm.
Wow.
levels of photo protections, but yeah, like for the most of them will block at least UVB and most of the degrees of UVA. So
Wow. So
yeah,
while I'm driving around, my face might be full of microbes because of the front windshield, but my arm completely clear of microbes because of the side.
I've noticed that. Your
Yeah,
arm's
a lot
filthy,
more.
riddled with microbes.
Yeah, yeah. Notice the face that
Right,
gets.
your
Yeah,
face.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
crawling.
Crawling.
Can't see where your eyes are anymore. So Rita, so Windows normally just plain old. We're not getting to the fancy glass yet. Just regular old day-to-day glass nowadays blocks UV. Is that on purpose? Is that just a happy coinkydink that it blocks UV, or are we making glass to prevent it? Because we've known for a while that UV on human skin not good.
Yeah, well, it's known that well, people are scared of UV for longest time, and then
Mm.
that's I think that's the primary reason that we need this UV protections. And just to well, since we're all scientific geeks right here, you I think Vinny will actually knows more about this. For UV, there will be different spectrum as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, like outdoor, there'll be UVB light. Like that is the part that causes skin cancer, but also the precursor for your vitamin D's, which is why that
Mm-hmm.
you go outside, which is saying that hey, it's healthier for you. But like for UVA, it's on the longer spectrums, which are not known to actually cause direct damages to like human cells or bacteria, but they are known to actually also kill bacteria as well. But humans are still scared of it. So
Mm-hmm.
majority of the time they will block UV, they will completely block the UVB for sure. but not the UVA. There's still some degree of UVA in some of the windows if they're not clarified it.
So you could get some windows, you get a tan in your house.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That explains how I have any tan, because I don't leave my house.
Yeah, you have the blinds down, as you said earlier.
Yeah. So if I finally raise those blinds for the first time in 10 years and see the scorching sun, I will be able to let in certain wavelengths of light that will kill off some bacteria. Does light sort of have a preference for certain bacteria? Does it tend to kill off more bad ones, or is it just like this apocalypse that kills like 80% of bacteria no matter who they are? Are there certain types that can sort of evade it or are more vulnerable?
I wish we can be selective. Like, because
I have a great idea.
I wish we can. Well, actually, no. This is still actually, I mean, the light effect on microbes have been explored for quite a while. But like in terms of exactly how, especially, for example, we're talking about visible light effect on microbes, it is still so complex because we'll dig into a little bit more to how light actually affect like or kill like bacteria. Is that there is a specific blue light receptors that we call it like microbes within their genes. They can actually sense light at a particular wavelength, and then after absorptions they will create a bunch of reactive oxygen radicals, and that's just how triggers a series of nasty radicals that will like impair cellular functions. Yeah, so that is in a general scope, but the problem is there are different blue light spectrum like receptors for each and different types of bacteria, and their concentration of these receptors are different, and also their concentration are different. So we can be like it might actually kill more of this kind of bacteria, but not for that one. And the majority of them, just for fun fact, are tested in bacteria, but not on, for example, fungi or viruses are barely tested. So yeah, like in terms of for your answers, I wish one day I can actually just be like, I want to actually have this specific light to kill specific bacteria as a whole. Not really. And that's one of the limitations of my studies as well.
So part of your project looked at the effects of light on microbiomes in a hospital. So we know a hospital has particular concerns with microbes, right? Lots of sick people spreading bacteria, causing more sick people, sort of a real danger zone for microbes.
Big problem, those hospitals.
So if you have your windows open in a hospital and lights coming in, it's killing off good and bad bacteria. Did you look into at all effects on like the inside microbiome of people of windows with different glass and shades being open?
Yeah. So basically what we did is that we actually collected samples from the University of Vermont medical centers and from different like windows, blinds, sofa, and we collected air sample as well, and from the patients as well. So basically there's a limitations here because these are all VIP patients. Of course, they have single rooms, fancy bougies, like new windows.
But, you collected it from the chandeliers and the caviar dishes.
I saw the pictures; they were beautiful. We collected their saliva and palm swab samples, but only over a period of 5 days. And what we want to see is that if their microbiome has changed with different types, with the applications of this kind of windows or more access to daylight. And 5 days are not enough. Like that's what we found. And if light can actually have a huge impact on our human microbiome within 5 days, we will be surprised, to be honest with you, because the light levels, I mean, it's like statistical different compared to those that were not using these smart windows. But still, we tested on the cancer patients, hematology and oncology patients. So these are patients that are not like infected with that does not carry infectious diseases,
Right.
but like in terms of oncology patients. So that's yeah, something to keep in mind of.
Yeah. So how many days do you think? Yeah. How many days does it take to have a statistical effect?
Yeah, well, that's a very great question. So basically, just to fill in a little bit more background, is that what we know, right? What we don't, my goal is to actually see the light effect on the environmental
Ah.
microbiomes.
Okay.
And but what we know is that light actually has an impact on human cognitive functions, in fact. So that is
Hmm.
technically the primary goal of this having these windows without the blinds is to actually have more access to views for the patients, which are actually known to be more beneficial for the recoveries, for stress relief, and like help
Fascinating.
them with recoveries. This is well known actually. So we know that having more access to daylight and views are good for them. So I think that from that point of view is actually that can be more possible to actually alter humans microbiomes
Okay.
instead of actually from changing the environmental microbiomes and then on the human. That is less possible. But
Wow.
like more on the plus side, we there is another study actually already performed by the same university teams, like with the hospital. They actually performed this study for 3 months on these patients, but they did not see a significant clinical outcomes over 3 months with the new windows here. So we still don't know if we are able to see like this huge positive impact on human microbiomes with
Hmm.
just the windows or not. But like
Fascinating.
from yeah, but from a microbiome perspective, in the environment, we did see
Very
it.
cool.
You
Yeah.
mentioned like having access to sunlight led to better patient outcomes. Is that all just vitamin D stuff, or is there other? Is it like biological impacts beyond vitamin D that sunlight has, or is it just as simple as, God damn it, the sunshine makes me smile? Do you know? Are there other scientific effects
I
of
like
light that you
that.
know of?
Yeah, well, sun does make us smell, but like it's I that is the having more sunlight actually has more leads to more satisfactories of the patients. That is a fact, and that's been proven by a lot of studies actually, especially in the
Hmm.
healthcares. And that it's right now there are well, one of my passions for research as well after this master is to see healthy building designs. And within the
Hmm.
healthy building designs, there is one of the key component is to actually feel more connected with natures and having more daylight lightings, and because lighting is crucial for our circadian rhythm as well. That is another major reason why we including lightings in the buildings. And well, I don't know how you guys feel during COVID time. If you don't go out for more than 24 hours or 48 hours without seeing the light, or being having a inside a room at the basement without the windows, you will feel depressed for a
Hmm.
period after a period of time, and which is the reason why. What this is the reason how lightings actually affect our cognitive functions, for example, like productivities
Hmm.
and like performances and all kinds of like psychological that is way beyond just microbiome. So
Hmm.
Hmm.
it's that is actually the main perks of having with removing the blinds, which is why and why I said that having lighting is great for patients' outcome.
Hmm.
Cool. Now I've got a question, and it may be an engineering question. So since you're a fake engineer, you can give me a fake answer if you need to. Now, can we make light bulbs, light fixtures that can simulate or produce these wavelengths? Like, would that be beneficial to like So we don't necessarily maybe have to have the. Sometimes we live in cloudy climates and it's not a lot of UV A or B coming through. Can we simulate these so that we don't rely on the sun to provide these?
That unreliable
That
sun.
old unreliable sun.
Yeah, well, Vinny, you sounds like my comedy members because I got exactly the same question during my defense.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a very great question, and there are many light bulbs out there that can change its colors, but I just recently went to a conference actually that I just saw these inventions that literally can answer your questions. Well, the best medicines for or therapies for humans' depression, especially indoors, are actually natural sunlight. And no light bulb can mimic exactly like sunlight. That's
Right.
exactly the same words from the professors. But there are many technology. For example, I heard one of the professors from University of Arizona, they're actually developing a biodynamic light bulb that can actually mimic sunlight, but they
Wow.
adjust based on the time of the day. For example, like 8 o'clock, you start your work, and then this should be your prime times, then the intensity should be that time. And then actually correlates to your circadian rhythms. It's very personalized as well. It has to be based on
Wow.
your personal activities, and there is very strong requirements for the color temperature as well. There's color lightings, uniformities. There's so much things out there that's not my expertise because again I'm a fake engineer, but whatever thing they said, it is happening, and it's still not.
Wow.
There is still not like there's still not that kind of magical light bulbs that can actually help us that replace windows and
Sure.
sunlight, but it's coming.
It's coming. Wow, it's amazing. So we could see a day where we have like programmable lights in our home that mimic the outdoor, or even like one replicate artificially what we get naturally outside, or we hack it and like I need to be productive in the morning, so I'm gonna set my sunlight peak to be in the morning and then taper off in the afternoon so I can have my siesta and then come back again in the afternoon in the evening, and so we can have like custom like light bio light environments.
The age of agoraphobes is coming.
Yeah, that's right. Well, once the outdoors is uninhabitable, we might need
Oh,
this.
Gripes.
Yeah,
future.
yeah.
So Rita, we need to talk about these smart windows. So part of your project was, there's this cost benefit of leaving the windows open, right? Because the reason we shut our blinds all day is because glare, right? The windows that we have are very glary and it shines off our precious screens and we can't play our video games. So we shut the blinds and live in the darkness. But you talk about these smart windows that will let in presumably the bacteria killing light but not be glary. Do you want to talk just a little bit about their effectiveness and what difference they made?
Yeah, of course. So I don't know if you guys seen those tinted window before. This window is produced by a company called View. So they have 4 different tint levels. So like presumably, like if you install it in an office, you can control it on your phones, but they can dynamic if you want them to automatically tint it, they can just based on the outdoor sunlight.
Wow.
And they have like I think at the least tinted state, they still only allow 52% of the light transmitted into the buildings. So that really gives your eyes at the comfortable levels. And I think the biggest benefits of these windows, beside clear control, is energy efficient, because built like windows are part of the building envelope, so there are a lot of unwanted heat transfer between the outdoor and there, so they block more than 80% of the heat from, especially in the summer days, so which is really great.
Wow.
Yeah, beside that, for this kind of windows, at the least the best part how they killed virus, like least to statistical significant in my project, is that at the most tinted state, it allows only 1% of light transmissions. So similar to when you have the blinds installed at home. So it's not completely dark. You cannot
Wow.
see anything from outside. So those cool windows you see, like you cannot see from outside. Those are the windows like that. But they allow 10 times more blue light that we just kind of talked about at the very beginnings compared to when
Ah,
the blinds are installed. So 10 times more antimicrobial lightings, basically. That's
right.
how one of the benefits of how they can kill bacteria, like if you use this kind of smart window at the similar light intensity of shadings. So that's the highlights or
Wow.
important.
Very powerful.
Yeah. Hmm.
Nice.
Arcane Ninja RPG tells a story about ninjas and magic by mixing improv and role-playing. Meet our fledgling ninja and fall for them as they take their graduation exam and stumble upon unknown magic that will send them in an epic adventure. Root for them as the dice dictate just how successfully they face the threatening challenges that lay ahead. Binge on published episodes at the Pot Cavern Network or your podcast station of choice. Tune in every other Tuesday for your bi-weekly fix of Arcane Ninja RPG. Thanks for listening.
So Rita, you finished your master's. Phew! Congratulations
Yes.
on that. Are you planning on going into, as a fake engineer, a fake engineering institute? Or, like, what are the next steps for Rita at this point?
Yeah, well, I'm a very spontaneous person, so I'm just still trying to look at if I should keep going to become an actual engineer or become an actual, go back to my real, like, microbiologist, or I'm still looking for any kind of jobs that's gonna make me exciting.
Hmm.
And either way will work. I'm still also looking at different, also looking at opportunities, for example, like healthy building designs and or
Mm.
consulting as well, if
Hmm.
possible, because obviously, like I'm passionate about like healthy building designs, as I just talked
Mm.
about, like lightings and microbes are all everything about us. Like we spend almost 95% of the time inside of buildings these days. So, and I'm pretty sure it will actually become more this time, like
Mm.
as the time goes through. So yeah, that's another about my passion for that. Either become a microbiologist or going to industries that actually kind of become like engineers that actually help
Right.
designing building that's healthier.
That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Nice. So you mentioned healthy building designs a couple times. What are some other considerations besides just light that contribute to healthy or unhealthy building design?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things right there. Like there are like air qualities,
Mm.
temperatures, humidities, and there is sound as well. The
Hmm.
people around you, of course, is annoying you. That's that's another factor. I'm just kidding. I mean it is, and there's just a holistic approach that's needed. For example, there are many different guidelines that actually has
Mm.
been established that's actually tells you basically we're trying to actually establish guidelines to actually cover all the aspect of healthy buildings. But in
Wow.
general, they're there, whatever that you can think of: temperatures, humidity, air quality, ventilations, and sound, and lightings, and
Hmm.
safeties, all those stuff. Yeah.
That's really cool. Now, how did you get into this? Like, what's the origin story for this journey into building, engineering, microbiomes?
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna come. I'm kind of person that love everything. I think, yeah, I'm very curious about and learning about any kind of thing. So basically, I decided to do a master because COVID hit 3 months before I graduate. I want to find something to do, and I found this amazing project. Imagine I heard my professor saying that, hey, do you want to look at how window can kill bacteria? I was just like, what? Okay. I jumped onto this. I mean, she's threw several other like bizarre projects to me as well at my interviews that I'll just like, sure, these are very cool projects. And I'm not a kind of person that settle for like very boring stuff
Sure.
anyways. So yeah, like I think I kind of just love things that are multidisciplinaries and mixture togethers. And I just
Hmm.
don't want one single thing, which is my supervisor starts giving me projects that are like super that is not one single thing.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and what was little Rita like? Were you always a curious kid interested in science? What's sort of your path to going into science in the first place?
Yeah, you know what? I like way too many things, and then that my parents kind of like hates me for changing my mind so quickly until this days. And then they're like, "What are you gonna do?" And I was like, "I don't know. Maybe I'll do a PhD. Maybe I will go into industry. Maybe I will be like go for another engineering degree." So they're like, "Make up your mind." I was like, "I don't know."
Yeah, it's funny that sometimes we have these crossroads where there are multiple pathways forward, and it can be tricky to make those decisions, and sometimes it's not by choice. It's just like, all right, these are the opportunities, even though maybe you want another path. But how do you make these decisions? Like, what goes into your decision making? Like, how did you decide to do this project? Like, what is it really like? This is the thing I'm most excited about, and this is the thing, or is it this is the thing I'm most challenged by? Like, what are some of the factors that go into that decision making?
Yeah, I think even though I just said that want a lot of things, or at least I don't know what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
But at the same time, I'm very clear that I know what I don't like.
Mm.
For example, like my sisters and brothers are both engineers, and at the very beginning, and my parents were like, "Do you want to become engineers too?" I was like, "No." Like years ago, that was like, yeah, like when I try to decide which programs I want to do, or yeah. So every time at the tip point of making a decisions, I think my heart just tell me that yeah, you don't like that.
Right.
Rather than saying that you like it, it's more like yeah, you don't like that. Go for this one. So yeah, I think I'm just very open-minded person as well. And yeah, like despite joining this broadcast as well and talking with you guys, I am very open-minded with all the some
Mm-hmm.
facts that you guys are talking about. Yeah, it's just very I love anything that is that's actually it excites me. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like if ever you're unsure, you just listen to your gut microbiome.
Yes, they are very great.
And I think one thing
Ver-
that is really valuable that you've mentioned is if you're someone who's like really interested in a lot of different things, is try a lot of different things. And you can, maybe you don't see the things like, yes, that's the thing I like. Some people are like, I like all of these things. Try each of them, and then you could rule them out one by one and hone in on it
But
too.
also, so many fields of science are becoming so
Yes.
interdisciplinary, right? We're seeing how all these separate fields are really super connected. It's like the perfect time to be someone who wants to stick their finger in several stem puddings, right? There's a lot of room for that now.
Absolutely. I think everything needs collaboration. So this is
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
perfect. Yeah.
Exactly. So you mentioned in your bio, Rita, your other interests, you are a certified sommelier. How
Ooh.
how did you have time to get this whole other profession? How did that happen?
So basically how that started was when I was in third year of my undergrads. Actually, it was right before COVID. And I started working I got a summer jobs at one of the
Hmm.
wineries. And I don't know if you guys have been to Kelowna or not.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
yes, so Kelowna is like a little Teniscan in Canada because it was just like a desert.
Hmm.
And it's beside the lake, and there is like more than 300 wineries in the
Wow.
valleys. And it's
Mm-hmm.
gorgeous. And I was like, you know what? I need to take this chance. And my families are huge wine lovers.
Mm.
And I got this job and at one of the wineries as a wine, like I think retail sales associate. Yeah, that was my
Okay.
like summer interns like positions. And then I love how different types of wines are out there. And then actually this WSET sommelier certificates, the person who's teaching this like whole entire course the is one of the sommelier at my winery. So I might as well just got the certificates because he was teaching me the whole time already. And yeah, so I think with people that I met, I just really get into wine tasting. And fun fact, I can actually digest like alcohol.
Oh no.
So
Be careful.
2 glasses of wine, I am totally red.
It tastes like grapes.
Exactly. And this wine, a very fun fact is that at this wine, at the WSET course that we try is 3 days, and you taste more than 100 wines.
Wow.
Yes, and they're very expensive, and it was great.
And you were wrecked the whole time.
Yes.
You remember none of
I
it.
was wrecked the whole time.
Just had the certificate on your body. You're like, oh, I guess I passed. I've seen documentaries where people, like professional sommeliers, like saying all the notes they detect, you know, asparagus with hickory and it tastes like a summer's day in my grandma's attic. Do you have a favorite sort of flavor description that you've come up with or someone else has where it felt really evocative?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I think at some of the red wines, one of the description is like wet mud or cardboard. Or
Yes,
fungi.
but in a good way.
Yes,
Oh,
it was,
wow.
yes, it was. I mean, you can absolutely taste it as soon as they mention the word. But if you don't know how to taste it, you will never think about it. But when they say that word and you taste it, you're like, oh my gosh, yes, I did hear they said the words wet dogs too. So,
Wet dogs.
It's fantastic. Tastes like a wet mushroom dog. I
The
love
wet
it.
mushroom dog's the wine I've been after this whole time.
yeah. So it was pretty fun in terms of all this descriptions, because it literally will say it on the wine descriptions, and when you taste it, it's like, all right, yeah. Sometimes
wet
you
dog.
pick it up. Sometimes you don't.
Well, Rita, you are quite the Renaissance person. You are a real microbiologist, a real master of engineering, but a fake engineer, and a real good sommelier. Thank you so much for being here and
Thank
sharing you and your research. Super cool. Good luck in the future. And yeah, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Katie. Thank you, Vinny.
Thank
Oh,
you.
that was amazing.
Yeah.
I really want to become a sommelier.
Yeah. Like, what would be your descriptions of a wine?
I remember doing a wine tasting in grad school, like just with friends, because one of the people in our group was like a certified sommelier, and we would have to like describe them, and he would like critique our notes.
Oh,
But
interesting.
it was very fun to be like, peaches, but also oak. You know,
Right.
and to find out that, because I'd seen people describing wine like this, that it's not real, right? There aren't peaches in there, there isn't oak in there,
Sure.
but it's just evocative of what it conjures up, or you know, flavorings that
Sure.
it tastes like. Even
I mean,
if it's not in
sometimes-
there. Oh yeah, sometimes it's actually
Like the
in there.
barrel, the wood that the barrel is made out of, or like what they had previously stored. You can get those kind of actual
Oh, for sure.
flavors.
That's playground sommeliering.
Okay,
I'm
I
talking
see.
about,
You're talking
you
the
know,
high end.
pulling out, you know,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a benzene, you know, it's related to this.
The
Probably not
apples.
benzene.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want benzene in your wine. I'm not going to your winery, Katie.
Fluoroquinone. Yeah,
That was really cool.
That was amazing. Very,
Yeah.
very, very
Wow,
interesting.
light biomes, microbiomes.
I mean, I never would have thought of it. Like, honestly, we should maybe, you know,
Open the
real
blinds in the
talk,
house.
Open the blinds. It's, you know what, the blinds are open. We're not complete shut-ins, but the bedroom we keep it dark, and you know
By
what,
we.
maybe we shouldn't. Oh, it's mostly me. Okay, well, we'll have a talk after. Go back.
I'm going back
discuss
into the
that.
cave.
Okay, back to the cave. Well, Vinny, we learned a lot.
We did learn. Real
We
good.
learned about clothing lies
and the history of clothing.
and
the...
What did I talk about, Vinny? Pop quiz?
I'm totally blanking right now.
Oh, goodness. Wild Panic at
Wild
the
Panic
Disco.
Disco. Yes.
And
yes.
of course, all about light in the
Translucent
microbiome
animals.
and glass from
Yeah.
our wonderful guest,
Amazing.
Rita. Amazing. Well, Vinny, why don't you send people away on our socials?
Yeah, if you'd like to follow us, check us out at LRG Pod, either on Facebook, Instagram, and also you can look up Learn Real Good on YouTube now. We have a YouTube channel.
Also TikTok, but we never use it to this point.
It's true.
We'll get there,
forget
kids.
it to the point where I forget to mention it.
And Twitter.
And we're on X. I'm sorry.
It's
we're not on
called
Twitter.
Twitter.
No.
The website's Twitter.
We're going to get sued if we call it that.
Really?
No. Yeah, so
YouTube.
Yeah, we just started a YouTube channel where all of our little science facts are going to be presented in YouTube videos that you can check out. So yeah, you can LRG Pod on any of the social media or a Pod Cavern to get all of our previous episodes. Or if you'd like to be a guest, if you're a STEM grad student,
What do you do?
just send us an email at learnrealgoodpodcast@gmail.com. That's learnrealgoodpodcast@gmail.com.
That's it for this episode. Thank you, Rita.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you, Vinny. Thank you for listening. Tell a friend. Rate, review, subscribe. All those words. We'll see you next time on
Learn Real Good.
What a nice low
Yeah,
energy
beautiful.
finish. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.